be building X's first armor. I'm going to start off easy with the Hadouken part.
Once again, these are videos I shot some time ago in April 2024, and I'm recording this voiceover in August 2025. I shot this video on my bed again, like my Metal Greymon video, but this time I positioned my camera higher and from behind me rather than to my side. I built the Hadouken first because I like doing the easiest parts first. Kotobukiya likes to reuse parts for different kits but recolor them. On Armored X had these same parts with a green charge shot and yellow smoke under it, and the Mega Man 11 model kit has a dark blue charge shot with white smoke under it. The Force Armor has a different, much larger charge shot, but the smoke under it is the same. The smoke part can double as both a stand for the charge shot, and it can also be used like a dust cloud for X dashing or Mega Man sliding.
There we go.
Little does he realize that I am on my disintegration-proof vest.
The hands are another easy part I like to build first. Each of these Mega Man kits seem to use the same hand parts, just recolored differently for each armor. Mega Man 4 on the Game Boy and the first Mega Man X on the Super NES were the first Mega Man games I played as a kid. I only remember clearing the first half of the Game Boy game, getting stuck after beating the first 4 bosses in the first Ballade fight. I don't know how to pronounce Ballade's name, so sorry. I didn't beat Mega Man 4 until I was an adult, when it was re-released on the 3DS Virtual Console with the other Mega Man Game Boy games. Mega Man X took me forever to beat as a kid, and required me to use the Nintendo Power to tell me the weakness order for the bosses and where to find the armor capsules.
There we go. All the hands are done.
After doing the hands, I decided to do the upgraded X Buster. Or is it the Z Buster? I built it in segments, first doing the main white body of the Buster, and then building the red tip separately, and then combining the two halves. I remember the first time I played Mega Man X, I must have gone in the options menu and messed up the buttons for the controls, so when I began the intro stage, I accidentally didn't assign a button for jumping, so I was unable to clear the first jump in the game. It was fixed after resetting. I was unable to beat the game for a really long time since I was just a kid, and I was only able to find the Dash Boots and Chill Penguin stage, since that's the one capsule that's unavoidable. But when I finally beat Chill Penguin and got Shotgun Ice for the first time, it felt like an accomplishment as a kid. After beating Chill Penguin, I got into the habit of fighting Storm Eagle second, even though he isn't next in the weakness chain, since you can get an easy heart tank, a sub-tank, and the helmet upgrade in this stage, and with enough practice, he became the next boss I beat. I don't remember if I found his heart tank on my own, or if the Nintendo Power told me where to find it. I think the third boss I'd usually tackle would either be Flame Mammoth, since the Buster Capsule is there and beating Chill Penguin freezes that stage, or maybe Spark Mandrill, since beating Storm Eagle causes a power outage in that stage, making that stage's mini-boss, the Thunder Slimer, a lot easier. And also Nintendo Power informed me that Shotgun Ice was Spark Mandrill's weakness. I think there was one time I might have reached Spark Mandrill without his weakness, and I got creamed quickly, so when I returned with Shotgun Ice and discovered it may turn his fight into a joke, it taught me how important finding the boss weaknesses was. I would always complete the first armor before going to Sigma's Fortress and get the upgraded Buster in Flame Mammoth stage, so I was unaware that if you missed getting the Buster upgrade, Zero would give you his Buster after he sacrifices himself. In the first X game, the Buster you get from Dr. Light's capsule and Zero's Buster are identical, but in the PSP remake, Maverick Hunter X, Zero's Buster functions differently and it's more powerful than the Buster upgrade from Dr. Light. I've never played Maverick Hunter X, so I can't comment on how well of a remake it is. I have watched playthroughs of that game with both X and Vile, so I know some of the differences between the Super NES and PSP versions, but it still wouldn't be fair of me to evaluate the game without playing it for myself. The two X Legacy collections both have the Day of Sigma animated movie from Maverick Hunter X, but they didn't port the actual game, and also leave out the 2 Game Boy Color games and the RPG Command mission, which is a shame. Maybe if Capcom wanted to scrape the bottom of the barrel, they could release an X Legacy Collection Volume 3 with those 4 games.
There we go.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the ugliest one of all?
There we go. Right. Buster complete.
Similar to my Metal Greymon video, I'm cutting out pieces off camera and only showing myself putting the parts together. To make the construction process go faster in this video, I decided to insert X's ear gems into the ear parts first while they were still part of the tray, so it'd be easier to hold them. I then cut the ears out and assembled the rest of the helmet. I think the only tricky step was trying to get the yellow fins to slide into place properly in the top of the helmet. You can tell this is supposed to be the first armor's original design from the Super NES and not the PSP remake, because Maverick Hunter X's version of the first armor made the yellow fins look more like shark fins. I can't remember when I first played X1. Did I get the Buster part last or the upgraded armor last? I remember getting into the ceiling to get the Buster part was difficult, but so was beating that green robot in the Sting Chameleon stage to get the armor capsule. I was pretty excited to discover the upgraded Buster lets you charge special weapons, while the upgraded armor was pretty basic and just reduced damage by half, which made fighting bosses more bearable. The helmet upgrade sadly was underutilized, only being used to break the blocks leading to the Buster capsule and for protecting your head when going in the tunnel with falling rocks in Sting Chameleon stage. It would have been more useful if the helmet reduced damage from any attacks from above, or added a headbutt attack that could damage enemies. With the exception of the Force Armor's helmet that gives you infinite weapons ammo, the helmet parts in the X games tend to not be all that useful. Almost done with the helmet here. You can tell that I struggled with these yellow fins for a while. Okay, a little bit of a diversion. After mentioning how Maverick Hunter X's version of the first armor had the yellow fins redesigned to look more like shark fins, I decided to compare my model kit to both the Super NES artwork and the remake artwork. I didn't realize Maverick Hunter X made even more changes, such as adding a white tip to the middle of X's shoes, making the center of the dash boots yellow and coloring the ankle joints blue, adding a black wrist cuff, changing X's belt on top of his underwear, getting rid of the black tip in the middle of the shoulder blades, adding a yellow crest around X's neck, and making the forehead gem a diamond instead of a triangle. I never noticed all these changes until I put them side by side. I wonder if in the future Kotobukiya will make the Maverick Hunter X version of the first armor its own model kit. All the Maverick bosses got very drastic makeovers in Maverick Hunter X, and those redesigns stick out to me more. That might be why the more subtle changes to the first armor went under my radar. I don't have a preference for one version of the armor over the other, since it's just the same armor with slight touch-ups here and there. Though I guess all the Mega Man nerd YouTubers like Rockman HQ can take this as evidence that the mainline X series and Maverick Hunter X are separate continuities to explain all the changes Maverick Hunter X made to the original. Now I'm going to build X's chest and underwear. I'm not sure if I got the Buster part or the upgraded armor part last when I played the game as a kid. But if I had to guess, I think I might have gotten the upgraded armor last. I think I have vague memories of playing X looking very unusual, with the helmet, upgraded Buster, and dash boots, but without the upgraded armor to complete his appearance. There were many times I'd visit Sting Chameleon stage and find that green robot. Its official name is RT55J, for anyone curious. And as a kid, I had no idea what the purpose of this mini-boss was. I could never beat this mini-boss since it had way too much health and I always died to it. There were times I'd get close to winning and make the robot start to smoke, but it would always beat me first. Nintendo Power informed me that beating the robot would reward me with the upgraded armor capsule, so that encouraged me to try and beat it. And when I eventually did, it was another big accomplishment for me as a kid. It felt good to finally complete the armor that the game showed off on the cartridge, and having reduced damage made tough bosses like Sting Chameleon himself much more bearable. Nintendo Power was such a lifesaver for me as a kid. As an adult, I have tried more challenging runs like beating the 8 bosses without their weaknesses, or entering a hacked password that has Chill Penguin beaten without the dash boots, allowing you to play the game without them. I'm not a professional speedrunner or anything though, so if one day I decide to stream myself playing any of the Mega Man games on Twitch, they would be casual playthroughs and not me trying to beat the games, breaking some speedrun world record or whatever. I have no patience to replay parts of a game over and over and over to perfection. Neither do I have the dexterity or reflexes to pull off the crazy tricks and glitches speedrunners can do. For me, it's more fun to watch videos explaining speedruns rather than attempting them myself. If I did do a challenge run in a game, it would be something like skipping armor parts or doing Buster only on all the bosses. I'm ashamed to admit that when I played X2 through X6 on the GameCube Anniversary Collection, I tried to beat the games without guides at first, but eventually I ended up using internet walkthroughs to tell me where all the capsules and power-ups were. For X5 and X6 though, having guides was kind of justified, due to important game mechanics not being properly explained in-game. Just listen to my Blade Armor model kit video if you want to hear me describe all the flaws of X6 in detail.
There we go.
Now I'm doing the arms, and so far this has been a pretty simple armor to assemble. The Rising Fire colored Force Armor and Blade Armor had a lot of complicated smaller pieces, but the first armor is relatively simple to put together. I'm not sure entirely which model kit I'll build next. I've seen the Kotobukiya model kit of Zero's black armor, and while it would be nice to get that one eventually, I don't want to just build different color swaps of the same figurine. There's kits for the second armor, 3 versions of the Max armor, its original colors, its golden form, and Triad Thunder coloration, the Force armor in its regular colorization, and the Falcon armor. The Mega Man 11 model kit is getting some variants also, such as Mega Man being equipped with the pile driver weapon from Impact Man. A prototype of a Sigma model kit was shown off a while ago, so I'm pretty excited for that. And since Sigma's appearance changes in each X game, there's many different possibilities for different Sigma model kits. A lot of money Kotobukiya could make that way. And if they do Sigma, then why not other villains like Vile, or all of Sigma's different minions across the series? Could you imagine a model kit of General from X4? Would Kotobukiya make it supersized to match how large he is in game?
Here we go. Buster will go on this one.
If you're finally ready to take a trip without the kids, why stay at a hotel?
Lastly, I built the legs. Something unusual about this model kit is that the box calls it the full armor, while the X2 armor is called the second armor. X5 gave the impression that each of these armors are called the first armor, second armor, third armor, since it calls the X4 armor the fourth armor. So it's very strange that Kotobukiya calls this the full armor rather than the first armor, since the X2 armor is called the second armor on its box. The X3 armor is called its official name, the Max armor, and I guess due to Japanese having no th sound, Kotobukiya calls the X4 armor the Force armor instead of the fourth armor. I just find it odd the X2 armor is the only one identified by its number. There are fan nicknames I've seen, like the first armor being called the Light armor, and the X2 armor being called the Giga armor because of the Giga Crush attack, but I don't think those names are official. I guess I'll describe what it was like playing the Sigma stages as a kid. It was nice to see Zero again after seeing him only once in the intro stage, and it felt good to finally be able to kick Vile's ass. Seeing Zero die was a bummer though, but strangely I don't remember if I got this far into the game before or after playing X4 on a friend's Sega Saturn in the mid-90s. It might have been after, since I don't remember if I knew that Zero dies in the first game while I was playing X4 for the first time. And I also don't remember asking myself, how did Zero come back to life, and why does his armor look different in the fourth game, since I didn't play X2 or X3. I was actually more confused to learn Zero is male despite having long hair, and I originally thought Zero was doing slashing melee attacks with his Z-Buster, and I couldn't tell he was swinging a beam saber. Now back to talking about X1. Unfortunately, after getting past Vile and the rematch with Boomer Quanger, I came up against Bow Spider, and I think I got stuck on that boss for a while. Eventually, I did get past Bow Spider, only to be hit with more boss rematches, and the fights with Rangda Bangda and D-Rex. However, I don't remember if I got frustrated with those bosses the same way I got frustrated with Bow Spider. Eventually, I did reach Sigma, and I don't remember how long it took me to figure out the trick with climbing up the walls to make Sigma wall jump back and forth in order to beat him. A Nintendo Power informed me to use Electric Spark on his first form, and then Rolling Shield on his second form, and after I don't know how long, I eventually did beat the first Mega Man X. The ending monologue with X angsting over how he hates fighting so much was not something I expected to read, but the ending music was pretty nice to listen to. Oh, and in case anyone is wondering, did I ever get the Hadouken as a kid? I think I did, but only with the guidance of the same issue of Nintendo Power that told me the boss weaknesses. However, I barely played Street Fighter as a kid, so I didn't understand Nintendo Power's explanation of the Hadouken command input, and ended up not using it. I don't remember when I first did the Hadouken on my own, like did I eventually do it on the Super NES after a lot of trial and error, or did I pull it off when I was older playing the Anniversary Collection port on GameCube? I do remember one friend of mine in high school saying he'd do the Hadouken all the time in the first Mega Man X, and I was thinking to myself, wait, how'd you do it? I struggled to do it at all. The problem was due to my unfamiliarity with Street Fighter. I saw the instructions for the command input, down, diagonal down, left or right plus fire, and I took it literally and thought it was like inputting buttons to enter a cheat code, so I pressed the buttons individually in sequence and was confused why nothing happened. I didn't realize until I was older that it's more like having your thumb roll across the control pad. I think that's all. I will do the final assemblage of the first armor in a few moments. Any future model kits I build will be done on my Twitch at twitch.tv/GuineaPigDan. Thank you everyone for listening, and in my next video I will be building Classic Mega Man from Mega Man 11.
There we go. The legs are complete. Alright, time for full assemblage. So it shows a face. Yeah, this is gonna look happy. He's got his armor. X is a little crooked. He has to get used to this armor. Okay, come on. There we go. Alright. There we go. There we go. X wants to shake your hand. All done. Except... X is a little confused why he's singing another hymn. But you want to know what's even more confusing? Here's Zero. Yeah, First Armor X has never seen Zero in this body before, and he's never seen the Z-Saber, so he's really confused, like, wait, are you the same Zero? Why do you have those neat shoulder pads and that sword in your back? Yeah, we have a time paradox here. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this construction video. GuineaPigDan, out.